I'm sorry to do this to you, but we're back in the footer. No, we're not redoing some of the stuff that we just did. We're going to look at something new. We're going to look at something that I think is really, really cool and maybe a little bit underutilized. This is a great way to start looking at the conditions that you can do in Oxygen. And this is a way that you can display content depending on the situation. So maybe depending on the template you're looking at, or depending on when a user's logged in. There's a lot of situations you can show content on different days. There's a lot, and it's a really, really cool technique. So I want to show you how to get started with it. And I'm going to put this into the website as a little bit of a cool call to action in the footer. All right, let's get stuck into Oxygen and start building this one. Oh, you know where we are. We are back in Oxygen and we have our footer template open. Now, as I just said, in this lesson, we're going to create some Oxygen conditional content, and we're going to set that up now. We're going to quickly look at what we're going to be setting up. Again, this is in the XD file here. And by now you should be getting more and more comfortable with the layout. I've said this a few times and it really is important, and I'm really hoping that you're starting to get the hang of the Oxygen interface. So when you see this here, this layout, I want you to have a bit of a think on how you'd actually put this together. Now you might already know what we're about to do, but just have a bit of a think how you would do some of these things. So we can start to see that this is probably a heading, and this is going to be a smaller heading, and this is standard text. We've got a link wrapper with some text here, and we could do this with a div or as a before on this heading. All right, let's get this set up. I'm going to select our heading, go in here. We'll go into our file and we're going to click Add Section. Now let's put this right to the bottom. So we'll drag this to the top. I'm going to give this a background color of a dark grey, and this looks darker grey than what we've got here, so I'm going to actually need a new colour. But what I'll do is add this heading in while I'm here, add in the heading, and I believe this is a heading 2. Now let's get this colour here from the XD file. I'm going to copy that, go back to Oxygen, go to my section, and I'm going to paste this color in here. All right. Now in this section, we want our text to be white. We want this to be aligned to the center. So fairly simple stuff here. We'll get our text, put in another heading, add heading, and change this to a heading 4. Maybe smaller, heading 6. There we go, that's what we're looking for. Last one, we'll grab this text. Add our text in. And we'll add our button, which simply says, contact us. So you could do this as a button or as a link wrapper. I'm going to set this up as a link wrapper and put in there some text. Contact us. Make it white. Go to our link wrapper here and make sure that this is set up how we want. So we want our background to be green. Want our size and spacing with a fair bit of padding. So say 40, 30, and 30. And a little bit on the top, so 10 pixels, 10 pixels. Want some margin here. Something nice and large, so 20 pixels. And on this link wrapper, we're going to want to put our border radius on here. So make this nice and round of say 40 pixels. Now that is blue, not white, and it's fairly bold. So we'll go to this text color, make it our dark blue, and make sure this font weight is up to about 600. Now that's looking better. There's a couple of things here. We're going to want to limit the width of our paragraph here. So we can go to the text, go to advanced. We'll put a max width on here of say 700 pixels. And that looks pretty good. All we really need is a little bit of spacing above this. And it's starting to look about right. Now we've got our little feature here, so I'm going to put that in. Now I said there's a couple of ways you can do this, and I'm going to set this up as a div. I'll put this to the top, and I'll style the colors for this now. So we know what we need to do. We go in here, give it a background color. Make sure we set some sizing on here. So we want a width, something nice and wide, say 300 pixels. And then we'll put a height on here of 8 and a minimum height of 8. And really all we need now is a bit of a margin underneath this. 50 pixels. And I want to add a little bit more padding on this section. It's actually got a fair bit of air. So if I go and select the section, go to advanced and go into the size and spacing and change this from 75 up to something like 100 pixels. So it's got a fair bit of room around it. I'm going to click save. And then I'll go to the front end, click refresh. And now what you'll see is we've got this new section here added onto all of our footers. Now I'll leave it to you to do a few things, like if you want to put a rollover on here. We've been over these things before, and I'm probably going to put some of these effects on myself. But I want you to sort of think about some of these things yourself. But what we're going to look at next is how we can make this show and hide on different pages. So for example, we want to make this contact us button take us to the contact page. So there's no need for us to link this page or show this feature here on the contact page. We also don't want to show this on the home page. Well, and that's because we've got enough calls to action already here. Now that's up to you as well. You may want to add this on the home page, and that's totally fine. But let's look how we show and hide this in the actual footer template. Now what we can do is go to our structure panel and make sure we've got our section selected. If you look along the top left here, we've got this thing called condition settings. So let's click this and work out what it actually does. Now when you click it, it's showing you what's actually going on. You can set this to do a few things, so to always show, to always hide, or to show and hide based on some conditions. And that's what we want here. We want to show and hide based on some conditions. So we're going to set our conditions. Click set and add the first condition. So the first thing we can do here is if we go to choosing a condition, we've got a lot of options. Now you can choose your conditions based on things like who the author was, the date, things like the time, dynamic data. So if you have advanced custom fields, for example, things like the post IDs, anything. There's a whole range of stuff here. You can see if people are logged in or logged out. This is great for if you're hiding content or showing content depending on user settings. But what we're going to do with this one is we're going to make this based off of the post title. And what we want to say here is the post title, if it does not equal the word contact, then we want it to be hidden. So we just leave this here, click close, hit save. And now if we go to our contact page and scroll down, you'll see that it's been removed. If we go to other pages like the about, scroll down, you can see that that's showing up. Now if we go to the home page, it's showing up, but we want to hide it on the home page as well. And you can group additional conditions. So if we open this back up again, click set conditions, we've still got our post title as contact, and we can add another one. So you could say that the post title again is something like home. And we need to make sure that we're saying this one here. So this one with the double equal means that it does equal something. And this one here with the exclamation mark and the equal sign means does not equal. So you can use things too, like contains, etc. But we're going to go with this, not equal home. And for example, something else that we might want to do is choose something like a type of post. So we could say a post type. We don't want it to show up on things like our blog posts. So you can say when it's a post, for example. So we're going to click close, hit save, and take a look on the front end. And if we click refresh, we should see this delete from our homepage. And that's it. It's gone from the homepage footer. It should be still showing up on our other pages like services. Perfect. Now we still need to link this up to go to our contact page, but that should be working. We might as well do that right now while we're here. And I'm going to show you one thing actually. This is something that Oxygen does that is really worth noting. Stuff like the request quote button here and some of the buttons that we've set up. When you set up a button and don't put a link on it, so if we look at this link wrapper and there's no URL on it, if you go to click this here now, it actually breaks the site, like it's actually sending this code here. So that's something really mindful to look out for, because if you have this on a site and you publish it, you're going to have broken things going on like this. So you really want to make sure that when you put in something like a link wrapper, that you go in and actually link this up to something. So we're going to click set, find our contact page, add link, click save. And now if we go to any page such as digital marketing, and we scroll down, and we click contact us, will take us to our contact page, and that little call to action has been hidden. So that's working perfectly. See, I told you that one was cool. Conditions in Oxygen are amazing. They're really handy to use for various layouts. I can stop you using so many templates, and you can do some cool stuff with them for when people are logged in or you want to show stuff for different situations. Hopefully you can get some ideas where you can use this in the future, because it's a really amazing little feature. Now we're almost finished with the footer. In the next lesson, we're going to quickly go over just some of the mobile stylings. Just make sure this is done perfectly. It's a really, really quick one. So let's not waste any time. Let's click complete and smash out the next one. All right, I'll see you then.